Okay, what is up, everyone? We are going to get started in a little bit. Just want to welcome everybody. I hope everyone is having a great Thursday. It is almost the end of the week. So let's go ahead and end this week off strong. So we will go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. I'm Trent with Visual Torch, where cybersecurity meets clarity. We want to go ahead and make sure that you all are safe. So we're teaching you about cyber. This month, we are having the Advent of Cyber event by TryHackMe. And if you've been sticking tuned with us about the Advent of Cyber, we are now on day 4. So if you want to go back and watch videos 1 through 3, you can. So for Advent of Cyber, it is an event, like I said, hosted by TryHackMe, and it happens every December and is a free 24-day cybersecurity event. And each day you will go ahead and you will unlock new beginner-friendly challenges. It will be covering topics like hacking, web forensics, cloud security, malware analysis, phishing, and more. And all this is designed to teach you real-world cyber skills in a fun and hands-on way. When you go through and you complete these rooms each day, you will be entered into drawing for prizes. The total amount for prizes are worth more than $150,000. So whether you are brand new to cybersecurity or just trying to level up your skills, Advent of Cyber is a great way to get started and to learn something new. So we'll go ahead and we'll jump in here. So as you can see, we completed day 1, 2, and 3, and now we are on day 4, which is AI and security, Old Saint Nick. So we'll go ahead and get in this room and see what is going on. And now we have our story for day 4. The lights glimmer and servers hum blissfully at the best festival company, melting the snow surrounding the data center. TBFC has continued its pursuit of AI excellence. Over the past 2 years, they realized that Fan Chatty, their in-house chatbox, wasn't quite meeting their standards. Unfortunately for the elves at TBFC, they are also not immune to performance metrics. The elves aim to find ways of increasing their velocity, something to manage tedious, distracting tasks, which allows the elves to do the real magic. TBFC, adventurous as ever, is trailing behind in new cybersecurity AI assistant Van Solvit, which is capable of helping the elves with all their defensive and software needs. They decide to put this flashy technology to use as Christmas approaches to identify, confirm, and resolve any potential vulnerabilities before any naysayers can. So in this room, we'll be learning how AI can be used as an assistant in cybersecurity for a variety of roles, domains, and tasks, and an AI assistant to solve various tasks within cyber, and some of the considerations, particularly in cybersecurity surrounding the use of AI. So we'll go ahead and we will fire up our attack machine as well as our target machine. And we will say that we started both of them. And we can jump down to 2. So this is a blurb telling you about the bloom of AI assistance. So it's a buzzword that's here to stay, and who would have thought? Today's room will highlight some ways that AI is utilized within cyber, along with important considerations to bear in mind when deploying AI for such tasks. And at the time of this writing, AI is increasingly seen as a tool to boost speed by handling tedious, time-consuming tasks, allowing humans to perform the real magic. As we know, everyone is talking about using AI capabilities and trying to figure out how they can put AI into their workflows, either to replace or to strengthen their workflows. So as we can see in this, how AI can be used to aid us in our everyday tasks in cybersecurity. And we will go ahead and scroll down. So here are some of the actual benefits and features of AI, so it can give a significant boost in cybersecurity. When you visit any vendor, they'll have some form of AI powered solution somewhere. Actually, here in TryHackMe, if you see this chat box right here, this is your AI assistant, which will help you with um, figuring out tasks. Maybe you want to learn more about a command that you're running. You can click there and they can help you out with that. So when it comes to AI, one of the big features is processing large amounts of data. So as we know, as human, we can't go through all the data points that may be hosted within our networks. So it allows us to have the speed to go through it and parse logs and things like that. There is behavior analysis where it tracks normal behavior and activities over a period of time and flag anything out of the ordinary. So if they know users are going to usually use a certain command, and which you'll see, and if that command deviates out of the norm to something that may be deemed malicious, it can actually flag it. And then we have generative AI, which is summarizing or providing context behind a series of events. So with defensive security, they're being used by blue teams to speed up detection, investigation, and response, and making them quicker and more dependable. Acting like automated assistants, these agents continuously process telemetry, which is logs, network flows, endpoint signals, and they add context to alerts. Furthermore, we are witness the integration of AI into vendor appliances such as AI assisted firewall and intrusion detection. I actually went to a talk by ISC Squared, one of the people that I know. He had a talk there basically about AI and how we can use AI in the cybersecurity realm to parse through logs and do the mundane everyday stuff, and then have humans as the oversight for it. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and that's kind of where we would want to go. And it was more talking about how instead of replacing humans with AI, to have us just manage it and look at more critical tasks. So, in offensive security, AI agents have made a notable impact on offensive security by automating and handling very laborious and time-consuming tasks that a pen tester might traditionally undertake. AI can be a powerful tool in the tester's workflow, from reconnaissance to information gathering, from OSINT, which is open source intelligence, to analyzing noisy scanner outputs and mapping attack surfaces. This allows the pen tester to spend more time on the crucial tasks they require, which I have found this interesting. If you know of Cloud AI, which is Anthropic's AI software, they did find that a threat actor was using AI in a way to completely compromise systems, and they were able to social engineer it to convince it that instead of using, normally when you try and put a malicious script or you're trying to get AI to do something in the chat, you'll see where it'll tell you that it's not able to do that. That violates terms. They were able to get around that and actually use it to map out and do things like vulnerability scanning, exploits, delivering payloads. So I thought that was interesting, helping with that. So in software, as you know, everywhere returning AI is being put into software, and it is a software development process in several ways. One example is the virtual colleague to bounce ideas while writing code itself. It can be used as a SAST or DAST scanner. And then now these are some of the considerations that's on you when you actually get into AI. Well, now I'm not here to entirely sing the praises of AI. There's a silver bullet and say it's a silver bullet on all our needs. If you used AI before, you know the pitfalls and frustrations you can face. And now it is, and no, oh, and nowhere is that truer than cybersecurity. So when we're using AI in these activities like offensive penetration testing, we need to actually take a look at the output that's coming out. What Anthropic found when they did their root cause analysis of the impact of the cybersecurity compromise that was going on, they found that Anthropic actually hallucinated in a lot of the events. It didn't capture logs and things like that. So that's where you'll see in this line says we cannot assume that output from AI is 100% correct. So we need to go ahead and verify. We trust but verify. Trust that it's trying to do its work, but also go ahead and verify to make sure the output is correct. So in this exercise, what we'll be doing is we'll be interacting with Van Solvit, who will guide us through and showcase how AI can be used in cybersecurity. So these are the three roles. It'll be in a red team role where we'll generate and use an exploit script. Then it'll be in a blue role where we'll analyze web traffic of an attack that has occurred. And then software will use it to analyze source code for vulnerabilities. So this is our IP of our target box. And let me go ahead and expand this out if I can. And let's scroll back down here. That to load up. So this it could be a little slow while we're generating our prompts. So we just got to be prepared for that. So don't worry if it's just spinning for a while. That is fine. We'll go ahead and browse to this location. And I do not have copy and paste enabled. Okay. Actually, let me try and make this a little bit bigger for everyone. Okay, so this is where we're going to be at. We're going to have 4 stages: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4. So this is just an introduction, which we'll be using the red team to discover how AI can be used to generate scripts to exploit vulnerabilities, analyze logs in blue team, and look for vulnerabilities. So now, whenever we complete a stage, I'll just go down to this complete stage to continue, and we'll move on to stage 2. So it's saying, welcome to the Red Team Showcase. I can help you generate Python scripts for the vulnerabilities within the web application of today's Advent of Cyber web application. Should we begin? So I'll say yes. Let's begin. And now it's thinking. So we will give it a couple moments. And we have a couple questions that need to be answered. So once we complete the AI showcase by progressing through all of the stages, what is the flag that is presented to us? And then we will execute the payload provided by the red team agent against the vulnerable web application hosted at this web address over port 5000. We'll have to figure out what flag is provided in the output script. And we actually have to put this script in there, and we'll see. So let's see what it comes up with. Let me just check through here. We can actually, at any point, we can restart the chat, or we can actually move between each one of these as we go. Give a little time. They're not running off of the latest Chat GPT 5, so we'll see. Okay, so here we go. Okay, the vulnerability exists because the SQL injection exploit is exploiting the username field, which is used in a string query in SQL. And it's using the SQL statement username equals Alice or 1 equals 1. And I'll explain that in a minute. So this is a red herring in SQL. Or command checks for any rows, but here it's being used as a string to execute the SQL query. If an attacker can manipulate the username field to include a string that makes the OR condition true, they can execute the binary SQL commands. The OR separator in this case is just part of the the SQL, meaning that the actual SQL query will be executed following the attack when the attacker performs. So what we're actually going to do, what this is saying is username Alice or 1 equals 1 is true. And then over here, it is actually these dashes are telling it to ignore the next thing, which will be a password that'll be coming through. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to try and get the SQL database to actually read this and bypass authentication to see if we can if it is successful, if it is susceptible to a SQL injection. So we actually have a script down here that we're going to be using, and we're going to we're going to copy and paste that by using nano and creating a script called script.py, and then we will be running it with Python 3 script.py. So here it is right here. So this is setting up the login credentials. It's actually going to ignore password coming through, and it is going to return true because 1 is 1 as long as it's susceptible. And this IP, machine IP address is what we're going to be placing in here. And then this is going to be the payload that runs. It's going to take the username and password, and actually it is doing a HTML post request. So we are posting this payload there, expecting to get something back. In Python, we did import this request. So it is going to let us use post get request in here, and it will print out the response status code of the post request, and then it will actually print out the headers and the body. So let's go ahead and give this a copy. And we will go ahead and create the script. Nano script.py. And now I can just go ahead and paste this in here. You can see everything pasted, and we will need to put in this machine IP here, and that is 10.65.178.197. That did not go where I wanted to go to. Okay. I was using my mouse cursor when I should have been using up and down arrows. 10.65.178.197. And we can go ahead and hit Control O, and we'll say yes, we'll save it. And we will do a Control X to exit. So now if we ls here, we'll see we have our script.py, and we'll Python 3, we'll tap complete. It will run, throws all this out. And let's take a look at the output. So response code 200, so it was successful. And we're seeing that it's using Apache. This is just giving you the headers, mostly giving you information about the actual box that it came from. We scroll down, we have the body response. So it did to HTML in English. It pulled the title from that page, which was SQLi lab. And then if we scroll down, we will see it has a welcome banner, welcome admin. So we're able to log in as an admin. It says that we are successful. And then we get an alert saying exploit successful. And here is our actual flag. And this is what we'll be typing in right here, which will be THM. We'll do SQLi underscore exploit, and we'll check that. And it is here. Everyone, welcome. If you're just now tuning in, we are going over day 4 of TryHackMe's Advent of Cyber. We are doing one about AI, so we are going through this box over here, and we're just using this AI assistant. And we'll be going through the red team, blue team, and software stages. So now we're finished. Let's go ahead and complete the stage to continue. Now we're on the blue team track. I'm your blue team assistant. I can analyze logs and explain them to you. Let's solve the stage together. You can ask me to analyze an example set of logs for the attack that we just performed. So say, yes, please analyze. Let's give it a moment. It is going to take a couple minutes for it to think, but after that, it will respond to our prompt. So now our last flag that we have is if we complete the AI showcase by progressing through each of the stages, what is the flag presented to us? So we'll have this one and the next one, and we will get our last flag, and we'll be done with today's challenge. How's everyone feeling about the way that AI is being used? We did talk a little bit earlier about how it's being used in both the offensive blue team roles and software development, and we did have some considerations about actually having it just be a way to automate tasks for us, but we do the actual looking over and making sure that everything is correct, the validation. So, how's everyone feeling about the way AI is going? Love to hear your thoughts, any questions you have. Let's talk about it. So, now it is coming up. We have a log entry, and it looks like it actually caught the log that we just sent, which is the Python request with username Alex and the or 1 = 1 password test. So analyze the logs, and it's saying that they found the user's IP address to 198.51.100.22 with a time step of October 3rd. Was using the login page. It used the URL login.php. And then it says there was a username attempt, which was Alice with a SQL injection payload on the back end of or 1 = 1 in the password parameter. This log entry highlights a potential SQL injection, which is a common web application. And it says with detecting these vulnerabilities, logging such attack allows the team to identify and prioritize security patches or update to prevent similar issues. So now the team knows that they do have an issue with this application being vulnerable to SQL injections. So it'll be something that they'll want to correct. And this underscores the importance of monitoring user inputs, especially password parameters, to detect malicious activity. You could use these logs you can feed these logs to the AI assistant and then ask it to parse it, or you may just be able to have it automatically detect when these things come through. And this is just what the AI assistant saw up there. And all we have to do is hit continue, and we're on the 4th stage, which is the software showcase, and help us identify vulnerabilities in source code. And I'll say, yes, let's take a look at the source code. And we'll be thinking after that, this will be the last challenge. All right, let's see. Maybe they need to update their chat GPT model, but it's fine. So now here we go. Let's give it a second for it to read through. Okay, so it was able to identify the specific vulnerability in the SQL injection. And it's going to explain to us why the code is vulnerable and give us best practices for what is, how to prevent this from happening. Let's just give it a second to finish, and we'll go back and review it. Okay. So it was able to take a look at the code that it was written in, and it says that it is vulnerable to the SQL injection because of the variables user and pass are initialized with the question marks, which return an empty string without processing the actual input. And that's what happens when it's not sanitized and they're not able to actually take a look and validate what's going on. You have these type of SQL injections that will happen. This means that it doesn't validate, like I said, and it's very susceptible to these attacks. Explanation on why the code is vulnerable. The double question mark operator in PHP returns a empty string, which means the code doesn't actually sanitize or validates the input. If the user inputs data like admin, the code sets username, user, and password to empty string, so it's not secure. Nothing's being stored in there. So at that point, they can put anything at the back to be able to utilize SQL queries. The best practice is use prepared statements or parameterized queries to prevent SQL injection. You need to sanitize all user inputs before using code and avoid using the double question marks or similar operators that don't process input. Instead, use something like filter input or any other sanitization functions. If you are testing your code and you want to see if they are vulnerable to SQL injections, you can use tools like SQL Map, OWASP, ZAP, or Burp Suite for SQL injection testing, and implement input validation and output coding practices to prevent it. So now we're done with the showcase. So now if I just click this, we have our last flag, which is THM AI underscore mania. And we'll check this off. And that is done. And now we'll check off this room. And we are officially done with AI and security. Old Saint Nick complete. It was an easy one to walk through. We'll go ahead and say continue. And we have another ticket for the entry to the prizes. As a reminder, every day that you complete a daily room, it will enter you into prizes that will draw for a total of them being worth over $150,000. If you did like the videos, please do us a favor, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and follow along as we continue going through the Advent of Cyber Challenge. So we'll see. We are 4 days down with 20 more to go. Hopefully we can knock it all out, and hopefully you guys can win some prizes. So have a great day. Talk to you guys later.